K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com. K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You know what time it is, so sit back and get ready for the Stafford Voice, your dose of conservative in a world of liberal.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, how you doing? I am your host, Daniel Stafford, and yes, you are listening to The Stafford Voice, where we are conservative in a world of liberal, and living in a world of liberal can sometimes mean you are stuck with a headache. This is like the 12th, 13th, 14th day in a row I'm stuck with a headache, but that's okay. Listening to ignorance, I guess, has its privileges, and I guess that's my bonus. It's... oh, holy Hannah. Whatever. But you know what? Tonight, wow, I just realized I've got so much stuff lined up to bring you tonight. Let's see, what are we going to talk about? Oh, yeah. Who is really in charge of the election? Ted Cruz was asked a silly, stupid, ignorant question, and he answered it like the professional, awesome dude that he is. And it kind of goes back to the question that Ben Carson was asked. Also, yes, unfortunately, we had to listen to hours and hours of audio for your listening pleasure. We summed it all up in about a minute and a half with our campaign roundup of this week. Also, the clock that wasn't the bomb on this day in history, and if that's not enough, yes, someone out there is so damn stuck on stupid, they may just, I'm just going to hold my tongue and save the passion for later. But, you know what? I want you to know that there are so many different ways to listen. And you could be listening on your phone right now. You can be listening on your computer, whatever your smart device is. Go ahead, set this channel as a favorite, whatever you have to do so you don't get left behind. Because if for some strange, crazy reason you do miss the show, you can catch the replay. So just sit tight. There's no need to panic because, hey, I've got you. And in the case you aren't already following on social media, you can find me over on the Twitters at Stafford Voice. Look me up on the Facebooks. All you got to do is search for the Stafford Voice, and boom, there we are. Since you're already out there and about, do me a favor. Make sure you follow a handful of awesome patriots. We call ourselves Polititainment. You've got Artist Angie, you've got Politabunny, a.k.a. Sam, you've got Pointless Pole, a.k.a. Clay, and you've also got Jason. Jason is the hilariousness that teams up with Sam every Wednesday night to bring you According to Me and Bunny. Excellent, excellent show, and if you missed last week's, well, hell, you don't even know how to live. But also, be sure to give some love to the station and our affiliates. Wherever you're listening, make sure you send some love their way. Without them, we honestly would not be able to bring you all of the high, unquality content that we've got planned. You can stay up to date with everything at polititainment.net and thestaffordvoice.com. And since you're already going to be there, I would love if you could do me a favor. Fill out a short survey. really, this is how short it is. Over at the top of the page on the StaffordVoice.com, there is Uncle Sam, and he's asking you to fill out a short survey. It's so short, it will take you less than 5 minutes. It's 5 easy questions. That's it. 5 questions, less than 5 minutes. I would really appreciate it. It's just a couple of questions to know how you feel about the show, and maybe if you've got some other interesting insight or things that you'd like for us to do here on the show, we would love to hear back. Now, speaking of hearing back, I want you to hear this. This is a listener-funded show. Your help brings us into the airwaves to talk to you wherever we're at. And you know how we like to do it here. It's kind of like sitting around the dinner table and talking with your family and your friends, or sitting on the couch and just talking about the things and how they affect us. Well, how we're able to do that is through you. You have partnered up with us through whether you're donating, or you go over to the website over at Polititainment and you hit Amazon. You hit one of the Amazon links and you go over there and you do your normal shopping. With your help, it helps us. And we are so grateful for that. I honestly cannot say how humbled I am by how much you guys do and how much you support us. Well, I just want to dive right into things tonight. And we're going to jump right into a George Washington quote. Because back in 1783, he said, quote, "The foundation of our empire was not laid in the gloomy age of ignorance and superstition, but an epoch when the rights of mankind were better understood and more clearly defined than at any former period. The researches of the human mind after social happiness have been carried to a great extent. The treasures of knowledge acquired by the labors of philosophers, sages, and legislators through a long succession of years are laid open for our use, and their collected wisdom may be happily applied in the establishment of our forms of government, the free cultivation of letters, the unbounded extension of commerce, the progressive refinement of manners, the growing liberality of sentiment, and above all, the pure and benign light of revelation, have had a meliorating influence on mankind and increased the blessings of society. At this auspicious period, the United States came into existence as a nation, and if their citizens should not be completely free and happy, the fault will be entirely their own." How true is that today? Extremely true. There are how many people out there are completely clueless as to what is happening? Yes, yeah, I know. Look, 23 million people tuned in to the debates last week on CNN, the highest ever listeners that CNN has ever had in a single night, and probably arguably the most they've ever had in probably 5 years of existence combined. Add up how many people would tune in every night, add it up, and you probably still over 5-year period, and you probably still would not have reached the amount of people that tuned in to the Republican debate. But I really want to ask you this. Who in the hell is really in charge of the election? Who? Is it the media? Is it us? Is it Congress? For instance, I'm going to play you a clip that Ted Cruz was asked. And we're going to put it into context, and you're going to understand what's really at play. There are so many ignorant people out there as completely clueless on what the hell is going on. Completely clueless. And I actually got into a discussion with a guy over the weekend, and he said, you know what? I watched some of this stuff from the debate, and there wasn't anything exciting. I told him, I stopped him right there and I said, look, if you were hoping to tune into the debate and watch something fun and exciting, you lose. There's nothing cool about an election. He's like, well, I wanted to see who would look presidential. And, you always talk about certain people. And, well, he kind of stood there, shoulders slunched over, and he just kind of had a weird look about him. He didn't look presidential. And then you got Trumpet over there tooting his own horn. And he's like, I kind of liked what Trumpet was saying. And I said, okay, but what did he really say? Well, I don't know, but I liked what he said. Okay, well, you're not listening. So we're going to play a clip from an interview that just happened. It was either yesterday or today. This interview happened where this was a reaction from a question they had originally talked to Ben Carson with. And I'm going to play for you what Ben Carson actually said about this. But first, I want you to hear how the media spins things. Check this out.
Voters are energized by Dr. Ben Carson's campaign in this race. He has said that a Muslim would not be qualified to be president. Do you agree?
The Constitution specifies there shall be no religious test for public office, and I'm a constitutionalist. I will note that the press has loved asking in the past couple of days questions about President Obama and his religion, and I guess it all started with a town hall with Donald Trump. And my view, listen, the president's faith is between him and God. What I'm going to focus on is his public policy record, and his public policy record has been atrocious.
Okay. Spot on answer from Ted Cruz. They asked Ted Cruz about faith and playing into the role of president. And again, Ted Cruz always goes back to one simple thing, the Constitution. But it's the way they ask the question. Here's what really was said, and compare that to how they asked the question to Ted Cruz. Here is what Ben Carson, how the events with Ben Carson actually unfolded.
By finally dealing with what's been going on, Donald Trump, and I deal with a questioner that claimed that the president was Muslim. Let me ask you the question this way: should a president's faith matter? Should your faith matter to voters?
Well, I guess it depends on what that faith is. If it's inconsistent with the values and principles of America, then of course it should matter. But if it fits within the realm of America and consistent with the Constitution, no problem.
So do you believe that Islam is consistent with the Constitution?
No, I don't. I do not. I would not advocate that we put a Muslim in charge of this nation. I absolutely would not agree with that.
Now, to be completely honest, I agree with what Ben Carson says. I honestly do not think that someone who is Muslim fits the core values and the core beliefs of what this nation is and what the Constitution stands for. We've talked how many different times about how the Islamic faith is actually their political structure. Islam, exactly. And if you're over at k98talk.com/chat-room, you will notice what our good friend Slickery Trigger has just said. Islam is totally diametrically opposed to the U.S. Constitution. Yes, exactly right. That is completely spot on. Islam would completely destroy... If you brought in a Muslim president, a devout Muslim person, and they became president, you would realize that they do not fit the Constitution. They do not fit our rule of law. They would completely get rid of it and want to bring in Sharia law and make our courts Sharia compliant. It's their faith. Their faith is their political structure. Their political structure is their faith. So you've heard what Ben Carson said. Now, let's try and get this to where we can hear what the question was proposed to Ted Cruz.
Voters are energized by Dr. Ben Carson's campaign in this race. He has said that a Muslim would not be qualified to be president. Do you agree?
That's not exactly what he said. He didn't say that it would disqualify them at all. Kudos to the media for spinning the hell out of something that Ben Carson said to try and throw him under the bus using Ted Cruz. Unfortunately, Ted Cruz was not properly put together to answer that question and take it back and throw it in their face and say, look, at no point, I've heard what Ben Carson had to say, at no point did he say it would disqualify them. Unfortunately, he probably did not hear what Ben Carson's remarks were. Nowhere did Ben Carson say that being a Muslim would disqualify you from being a president. It doesn't disqualify you. Being Catholic does not disqualify you. Being a Christian does not disqualify you. Being a Muslim, being an atheist, being agnostic, none of that disqualifies you from being president. If it goes against the Constitution and the values and principles of the Constitution and this country and what it stands for, then no, you should not advocate for it. I completely agree with Ben Carson, and I agree completely with how Ted Cruz answered the question, and it was a great textbook answer as to how it should have been handled. But unfortunately, Ted Cruz did not probably know what Ben Carson, what the whole situation was with Ben Carson, because I think that if he did, he probably would have thrown it right back in their face. Completely appalling. Completely appalling. I'm fired up tonight. I'm just completely sick of these gray-haired media people, media elites that think they can control anything and everything that comes across your face and comes across your ears. They do nothing but play off of your emotions. That's it. They don't care what is in your brain. They don't care what is in your heart. Me, that's what I look to first. I don't care what your emotions are. I don't care if you're happy or sad. What I care about is what's in your head and what's in your heart. we probably should take a quick break. But before we do, I want to talk to you about something real quick. I want to talk to you for a second about crowdfunding. I know. Look, I know what you're thinking. Just what we need. Another crowdfunding site? But in reality, yes, we really do. Because everywhere you turn these days, someone is crying the PC game. The politically correct game. Well, what if I told you there was a place that didn't play the PC game? They were trustworthy. And they still held true to conservative and libertarian ideals just like you. A company that reflects constitutional values. And I'll tell you right now, they will not cave in and cancel your campaign, your crowdfunding campaign, because someone gets butthurt. But this is a company that believes in you so much, they're willing to put a little of their own money where your mouth is. And if you go out and you act now, for the first 10 signups who reach $100 in contributions, they'll put in $10 to help you succeed. It's not too good to be true. I'm telling you, it's not. You need to head over to rwnjfunding.com. Again, it's rwnjfunding.com. Do your own research. You will find what I found, that these really are, that this is a company you can get behind and you can start your crowdfunding campaign. All you need to do, go to rwnjfunding.com. Start your campaign today.
If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan. This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
The feeling most people get when they hear Barack Obama's speech, I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often.
Steady.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. Ricky Robinson, host of America Off the Rails, will tackle the important issues facing America today as he tries to keep America from coming off the track. Get ready to hear the truth every Monday through Friday starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, and on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern and 11 Central here on K98Talk.com and the Spark Radio Network.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling out my...
I don't know about you, but I'm not the type of guy that jumps into anything without first doing my research. And when I was looking for a holster, I'll admit I was having one heck of a time. You know what I'm talking about here. You find one you like, you try it on, it would be clunky. Another one fits good, but costs way too much. So you try on one last holster, it was slim, lightweight, priced right, but lo and behold, you slide your pistol in, and it falls right out. So what do? You've tried all these mass market holsters. Well, go custom. I know what you're thinking. I thought it too. Too pricey. Wrong. My guy over at Rebel Road Tactical will not only put together the perfect fitting, hand-molded, hand-assembled, custom Kydex holster, but you'll get it at an affordable price. Don't wait. Contact Rebel Road Tactical today at 682-217-4579. Again, that's 682-217-4579. Place your order.
Stop it. It's the dramatic reinvention of Talk Radio.
Here come the Spy Dolphins.
The only thing that can cure racism is Robert E. Lee's penis.
Who named this cat Limberbutt McCubbin?
a Trump-Biden debate.
Plugs versus rugs. Real serious nonsense. A show so bad you'll laugh at us.
The worst podcast. We obviously hold that title.
Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Call now.
913-440-4889.
All right, we are back. I really needed that break. I took a couple of deep breaths, nice big gulp of water. I'm ready. Ready to continue on. Because we still have we've still got some good stuff to come your way. Now, if you're a first-time listener or whatever, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening. We've done this before. It's been quite a few months since we've done it, and I think now is as good a time as any to bring this campaign back. Last time we did it, we had really good success, and I want to do it again. So here's what it is. It's not really more of a campaign as it is a challenge. I'm going to challenge you as a listener each week for the next few weeks to... Here's what I call it. I call it the Tell To Challenge, where you get out on social media and you tell 2 friends. Tag the show, or you can tag me. Tag me at Stafford Voice, or you could use hashtag TSV and tell 2 of your friends. That's it. Tell 2 of your friends about the show, when to tune in, where to go, whatever. That's it. It's really, really easy. I would really appreciate it. And if you like the show, could you do that for me? I would really appreciate it. I mean, you guys really are awesome. It's you that helps support this show. You are the reason we are here. And a lot of the stories we talk about are the ones that you guys highlight. We take a look at them and we talk about them. Now, unfortunately, because it is campaign season, there is so much talk happening. With all of these freaking candidates, I mean, good thing one of them's out. I mean, finally somebody put their walker away. I'm really hoping that the graham crackers get shelved. Really hoping that somebody locks Grandma's rubies away, and somebody locks Grandma's ruby slippers away and hides those things, but trims the bushes. You kind of get what I'm saying. But with all of these, we've got, I think we're finally down to 97 or 143. I don't know. I can't even keep up with all of them. But there are so many people out there saying things. Luckily, we've been able to dig down, and this week is kind of long. I mean, last week we did a really good job of breaking it down into roughly a minute long, and really that's what we want to do. But because of the debates brought out all the candidates, and they were all out over the weekend giving speech after speech after speech, and oh my God, it was hour after hour after hour of listening and sticking ice picks in my ears because of the sound of somebody's voice and how they are winning all the time. It was flippin' ridiculous. But you know what? This is what we call Campaign Roundup, where we cut to the chase and bring it to you in a manageable soundbite that you can kind of wrap your head around and get an idea for who the candidates really are.
There were an awful lot of what I call campaign conservatives, people who talk a good game, but they haven't walked the walk. And I think people are looking for a consistent conservative, someone who's been the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
I think it's not so much what religion you are, it's what you stand for. Civilized Islam needs to step up in a bigger way and say this doesn't represent us.
Take power out of Washington and bring it back to we the people.
The reason I'm running for president
is because I do not want to see hope fading from anyone's eyes.
You want to be an outsider? Fabulous. Show me where you stood and fought against career politicians in both parties.
We need to listen. One of the things that we do in this country is we've gotten into our respective corners and we fire hand grenades at each other. And it helps to facilitate what the left is trying to do. They're trying to divide us. They want us to think that there's a war on women and racial wars and income wars and age wars and religious wars, and they want us all to believe that we're each other's enemies when in fact they are the enemy.
Now, you should put a defunding of Planned Parenthood on his desk. If he's going to veto it, let the American people see that he stands with the folks who believe that the systematic murder of children in the womb in a way that preserves the body parts to be sold on the open market for profit is something that he stands for.
Too many people now in this nation that lack hope.
We can't nominate or elect a Republican president who will simply manage the decline of this country.
Okay. And I don't know if you caught it, but Rowdy Randy Paul out there said that we need to get those who are civilized Islam to start denouncing these radical Islam. Obviously, Rowdy Randy needs to go out there and start digging a little deeper into what Islam is, the fundamental ideology of who they are and what they represent, and you will realize that there is no civilized Islam. It's all about conversion. And if you don't convert, then, well, heck, if they have a good if they're having a good attitude about it, then they can kill you. They can cut your head off. They can wrap det cord around your head, blow it off, and televise it. Heck, they may even build another contraption and dunk you underwater and videotape you being drowned. Congratulations. No. There is no civilized Islam. And yes, so many people out there have lost hope. But you know what? Some of them are actually starting to wake up. However, there are still a handful of people out there that are deaf, dumb, and blind. And, well, we saw one of those mid to late last week and actually got the attention of the White House, where Resident Obama goes out and tweets, cool o'clock, Ahmed. Yeah, I want to bring it to the White House. We should inspire more kids like you to like science. It's what makes America great. Oh, good heavens. Not to mention, Microsoft decided that they were going to send him not only a Surface Pro 3, not only a Microsoft Band, not only a 3D printer, not only an Office 365 subscription, but they threw in a handful of other things. Ahmed Mohammed got shout-outs from Facebook founder Zuckerberg. He got a shout-out from MIT. He got one from NASA. People out there are wanting to give him more than $15,000 in scholarships. All because Ahmed Mohammed, the bomb clock boy, built a clock that looked like a bomb, but was really a clock. I don't know about you, but if I see somebody in public, I don't care if it's at a shopping center, I don't care if it's at the damn grocery store, the gas station, or a school. If it's a suitcase and it's ticking, getting ready to go off like an alarm clock, yeah, I'm probably going to call the cops. If it looks like a bomb, ticks like a bomb, well, you know what? not wanting to jump to conclusions about Ahmed Mohammed, the bomb clock boy, we might just want to actually look at what it really is. Webmaster for artvoice.com, Anthony DiPasquale, or DiPasquale, Italian people, they got hard names to pronounce. I mean, it's almost as bad as these Islamic names. But Anthony's the webmaster for artvoice.com, and he pretty much exposed the bomb clock boy for the fake that he really is. He says, quote, "My initial reaction was probably pretty similar to everyone else's. Wow, I feel really sorry for the kid. But the nerd in me wanted to know specifically what he did, what technology or methods might have been used." Well, he goes on to say that somewhere in all of this, there is indeed a hoax. Ahmed Mohammed didn't invent his own alarm clock. He didn't even build a clock. DiPasquale says that all signs point to a mass-produced model. He traced the 1980s era circuit board. Yes, thanks to technology and the zoom function on Chrome or Internet Explorer or whatever the hell device you're using, you could zoom in and realize that there is a silk-screened M logo to a vintage Micronta clock found on eBay. He noted other, quote, dead giveaways of a store-bought clock, including a switch to select 12 or 24-hour time, and get this, a battery backup. He says that, quote, anyone, even with that basic hobby-level understanding, could see it was a commercially available mass-produced product that was just taken out of its enclosure and placed in a pencil box. So he read some more about the story, and nowhere did he see anybody actually bring up that point. So basically, DiPasquale has figured out and proven that the bomb clock boy didn't really build a bomb. He didn't really build a clock. He didn't build anything. All he did was figured out how to take an old alarm clock apart and stick it all inside of a suitcase. Seriously, this is what it's come to, where we have a president that could care less about the fact that, A, this kid builds something that looks like a bomb, has an Islamic-sounding name. I'm not jumping to conclusions. I'm just saying that all of the terrorist attacks in the last 15 years have been because of Muslims. But here you've got a kid who, quote-unquote, builds a clock, takes it to school, shows it to a teacher. The teacher says, cool, but I don't think you should be showing that to anybody, and he doesn't say anything. He goes to the next class and says, hey, teacher, look what I did. And the teacher says, that probably isn't something we want to be showing to everybody, and no reaction. We continue that through the day, and, well, guess what? They decide they're going to call the cops. The cops come in, they arrest the kid, and they put him in handcuffs. Great! Good! Why it took so damn long in the day to get that done is beyond me. But I guarantee you, if my son was still in school, whether he was in junior high or high school, and he took apart a commercially produced clock, took it apart, puts it in a suitcase, takes it to school and says, hey teacher, look what I made, immediately something is going to happen. They're going to jump to conclusions. Now, forget about the fact that he was arrested. Forget about the fact that he gets a shout out from the president. That he gets over $1,000 worth of stuff from Microsoft. Forget about the fact that Facebook founder Zuckerberg gives him a shout out. There's more to this story than a kid who takes apart an alarm clock, sticks it in a suitcase, and takes it to school. There's more to it. You've probably already done your research and realized that the father, well, he has a history of running for president outside of the country on more than one occasion. They are Muslim. Are they playing off the fears? Was this something that his parents put him up to? Look, here's a fact. This little kid is a smartass. He thinks this is funny. He genuinely thinks this crap is funny. You don't believe me? Listen to him in his own words, in his own voice today from a press conference.
So I guess everyone knows I'm the person who built a clock and got in a lot of trouble for it. I built the clock to impress my teacher, but when I showed it to her, she thought it was a threat to her. So it was really sad that she took a wrong impression of it, and I got arrested for it later that day. But since the charges have already been dropped, I will have to say that I really want to go to MIT and TAMS, and I'm thinking about transferring schools from MacArthur to any different school. And thank you to all my supporters on Twitter, Facebook, all social media. Thank you all for helping me. I would have never got this far if it wasn't for you guys, and not just you guys, everybody.
You're going to the White House, my friend?
Yes.
Oh, this little kid. This little smartass. This little sarcastic smartass that's radicalized by Muslim ideology, by the Islamic faith, thinks this crap is funny. Oh my God! my teacher thinks it was scary. Why don't you take that into a larger public place and see how many people get freaked out? Take it to an airport. See what happens. See how many people get freaked out. Why don't you walk around Times Square, you little prick, and see how many people get freaked out? The bomb clock boy is a product of his environment, and I guarantee you there is more to this story that has happened behind the walls of his own home than we will ever know. It's really sad that so many high-profile, and I use that term loosely, so many high-profile people are getting behind this little punk kid because he's passing off a hoax and throwing it into the face of Americans that he's just a kid. He's smart. He's got a bright future. Oh, and look, his name sounds Muslim. He's Muslim, but that's okay. Islam is a peaceful religion, which is, as we all know, has been debunked hundreds and thousands of times. It's fundamental to their ideology and their faith and their political structure. I just hope more people are starting to wake up and see the stuff that's being thrown into their face, they are being laughed at. We are being laughed at as a country. They think this stuff is hilarious. Now we're getting ready to take our last break, and when we come back, we've set some time aside for a couple of things that happened on this day in history, and then we'll go ahead and get around to our last little segment where somebody, yes, has completely ticked me off, and they are beyond stuck on stupid. When we come back, right here on the Stafford Voice.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve. As they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
Hey everybody, this is Jason, host of According to Me. I'd like to invite you to check out my show. It's a 2-hour show that lasts 60 minutes in... listen, I hate to interrupt, but one thing I can do is read off a script. Just say, let me be clear a lot. It works. President Obama, I can handle this. It's a radio promo. I'm not green. I've done this before. Did someone say green? Now, Al Gore is here. Listen, I'm just trying to record a radio promo. Do you mind? Now, do you say good things about me on the show? No, not at all. But if it makes you feel any better, I rip on Republicans just as much. The AM radio frequencies give off very high levels of radiation. Look, my show is on the internet, which you invented. Can I just do my promo? I got a pen. I can veto that, you know. I know you got a pen. It's not a law. It's a radio promo. Listen, just listen to my show. Barack Obama and Al Gore hate it, so you're going to love it. Here's an executive order. Don't listen to his show. He doesn't like me. He's racist. And he doesn't recycle either. That's it. I'm done. It's According to Me, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the 405.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
All right, we're back. Now, before we jump into what happened on this day in history, you guys know how much I love to read. And, last week I got 5 or 6 new books in the mail that I had ordered. And yes, I did order them through Amazon, which makes it so much easier when you go to since you're already there anyway, over at Polititainment, and you click the little Amazon banner, you do your normal shopping. It unfortunately, I don't know, I really don't know how I'm going to get the time to sit down and read these books. I mean, these are great books. I've been wanting to read these for quite some time. But like you, time is really precious, and I'm always on the go. I can't remember the last time that I could just sit down and read. But I've got a smartphone and a tablet and a subscription to audible.com. And I want to invite you to try it. I mean, you could be driving cross country, driving to work. You could be cutting the grass, doing housework, whatever. And you can get caught up on all the books you want to read but really can't. And if you're like me and you love to read, you need a subscription to audible.com. And because you listen to this show and anybody else that's with Polititainment, like Real Serious Nonsense or According to Me and Bunny on Wednesday nights, because you know us and you're a listener, you're going to get a free 30 days, no strings attached trial to audible.com. not only are you going to get a free book, but you'll get 2 free books. You get 2 free books the first 30 days. And after that, but in that first 30 days, you're going to quickly realize how important Audible is. And because it's part of Amazon, all of the newest books are there to choose from. Hundreds and thousands of books. The only way to get this deal is to head over to audibletrial.com/polititainment. Again, that's audibletrial.com/polititainment. Sign up, get your free audiobooks, listen for 30 days, and in that 30 days, if you're not completely satisfied, which I'm pretty certain you will be, you can cancel it. But when I tried it, I was blown away. Okay. On this day in history, this is, as a listener, almost everybody that has taken the survey, that short little 5-question survey, takes them less than 5 minutes, tells me that this little segment about On This Day in History is one of their favorites, and it's quite honestly one of my favorite things to put together. This particular person was born on January 14th, 1741 in Connecticut. He was a member of the militia during the French and Indian War, and he later became a successful trader and joined the Continental Army. Well, during the war, he proved himself skillful and, well, he was pretty brave. He was a brave leader. Well, eventually he was promoted to brigadier general around 1775, but he did have some enemies in the military. At the time, there were roughly 5 guys that were promoted over him. Well, over the next few years, he and his second wife, they ran up humongous debts. And if you add that to the resentment that he had over the others that got promoted over him, you've got what many think are motivation for becoming the most famous trader of all. Well, on this day in history, Benedict Arnold met with British Major John Andre to talk about handing over West Point to the British. Arnold was promised a large sum of money and a pretty high position in the British Army. And as you know, the plot was foiled, and, well, he became the poster boy for what it means to be a traitor. On this day in history, 1780, Benedict Arnold committed treason. Also, let me tell you about some pretty bad dudes. Formed to organize and train guerrilla bands behind enemy lines. Not bands like you'd go and listen to at a blues festival, okay? Talking bands of guerrillas behind enemy lines. Not the kinds that swing from trees. Well, President Kennedy believed in the potential of special forces and in counterinsurgency operations. Very different than the current president we have, where President Kennedy actually believed in our military and the power that they possessed. Well, when he visited the Special Warfare Center at Fort Bragg to review the program, he authorized them to wear the Green Beret. But on this day in history, the U.S. Army's 5th Special Forces Group was activated. And again, they were activated in Fort Bragg. Now, these guys went on to go to Vietnam, and very, very highly trained soldiers. These guys were the baddest of the bad. I mean, we're talking scary, scary dudes. This was a special breed of men. Incredible, some of the stories that you can get, if you can get some of them to talk. Okay, Speaking of talking, it is that time. That's right. It is time for another edition of Who Said That? This week is, pretty special. I mean, this person I hold really close to my heart. Not. But let me first explain what we do with Who Said That? Who Said That is a short little segment that we put together that highlights someone completely stuck on stupid that we just have to highlight. I mean, it really is a special kind of stupid. And it doesn't matter whether you are a Republican, a Democrat, a liberal, or a conservative. If you are saying something that stupid, that dumb, and that blatant, we're going to call you on it. And this week, oh, wow. You just have to hear it for yourself.
Let me ask you about those Planned Parenthood videos. Have you watched them?
I've seen excerpts from them, and I've certainly read about them. And what I am troubled by are the misleading, inaccurate allegations about them that we heard from Republicans at their debate. This is really an attack on Planned Parenthood, which provides a lot of health services, from cancer screenings to contraceptive services to so many other of the needs women have. And to shut down the government, which some Republicans are advocating, over funding for Planned Parenthood, which takes care of millions of women's health needs, is just the height of irresponsibility.
That's the policy debate this has turned into. But what was your reaction just when you watched them?
Well, look, as Planned Parenthood has said, these were misleadingly edited. They were intentionally taken out of context. The fact is that if we want to have a debate in this country about whether we should continue using or doing fetal research, then it's not only Planned Parenthood that should be involved in that debate. All of the experts, all of the scientists, all of the research institutions, everybody who is looking for cures to Parkinson's, for example, should be asked, should we continue this? But so far as I am aware, what they did, despite the way it was portrayed, is within the laws that were set up for this.
This week, the Senate's going to vote to impose a federal ban on late-term abortions. Do you support a federal limit on abortion at any stage of pregnancy?
This is one of those really painful questions that people raise, and obviously it's really emotional. I think that the kind of late-term abortions that take place are because of medical necessity, and therefore I would hate to see the government interfering with that decision. I think that again, this gets back to whether you respect a woman's right to choose or not. And I think that's what this whole argument, once again, is about.
No, you dumb bimbo. This whole argument is not about a woman's right to choose whether you want to rip out the fetus of a life growing inside of you. It's not about that at all, you idiot. It's not about ripping out fetuses. There's more to it than that. Look, the fact is the Planned Parenthood could give a crap about mammograms. They don't care about women's health. All they care about is ripping a potential life out of the uterus of a woman and denying her ability to be a woman. And then the complete ignorance of wanting to put the Republicans under the bus and say it's their fault. It's not the Republicans' damn fault if the government shuts down. You know whose fault it is? It's the president's. This falls on the president himself. President Obama will be the one that shuts the government down. That's it. Not the Republicans. The Republicans are taking a stand for a potential life. Fundamental to what this country is. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life. There is a reason that word was chosen before liberty and before pursuit of happiness. You cannot have either of those two things without having life first. This will fall on the president. If the government is, quote unquote, forced to shut down, it's his damn fault. And people like Hillary Clinton for perpetuating the lie that Planned Parenthood is about women's rights and women's health. They don't care. They don't care. If they cared about women's rights, it wouldn't be about the choice that a woman has of ripping a fetus, ripping a life from her womb. That's what separates men from women. The fact that women get to bear life. That's what makes women special. That's what makes women special. Not the fact that you get to choose anything. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this week. God willing, I, your host, Daniel Stafford, host of The Stafford Voice, will be back next week. Yes, you can follow me on social media. All you got to do, head over to the Twitters, look up at Stafford Voice, or you can find me over on the Facebooks by searching for The Stafford Voice. Email any of your questions or comments, love mail, hate mail, I'll answer all of them, to thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Again, that's thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. I want to thank you so much for your time tonight, and until next week, thanks, and God bless.